Well, I'd like to use it for infrastructure. Just recently during the summer, we had an oil spill of 250,000 cubic liters of oil was spilled into our river, and the Husky Oil stepped up and given us $5 million. Unfortunately, a larger spill happened in the States, and it took 6 years and well over $1 billion to fix. So I'd like to continue to invest in our infrastructure, like our water, and ensure that a situation like this will not happen again. So make sure our water intake valve has a way of making sure we're filtering water before it goes in, because at any given time, water will sweep up the oil from the riverbanks and the riverbeds, and so we have to be understanding of what the situation is and how to deal with it in the long term. So we have to create long-term plans for that. I think gross domestic product on average rises 1.9%, and we have to continue to grow with that. Unfortunately, I'd like to look at a way of diversifying our taxation so that we have a lower tax increase like that. We serve a population of well over 220,000 people with the city of Prince Albert and the surrounding areas. So we have a potential to create more jobs, more industry, more potential for the community to come together and work to achieve that. So with that, we should be able to lower our taxes in the long run by diversifying our taxes. So this will be better on levies, individuals, homeowners, businesses, and so this will also encourage businesses and homeowners to come here. Homelessness itself is a huge aspect. Janice Henry from Homes for the Homeless would say there was 300 homeless people on Prince Albert at any given time. The YWCA currently is helping out 90 homeless people on Prince Albert and giving them the need they help to help themselves. But it's a multi-layered question. A homeless person might have addictions, can't find a job, doesn't have a home. We have to look at the organizations like the Fetch Center that uses their address to get people ID, SIN cards, SIN numbers, and that to get jobs. We have to work with Salvation Army, Value Village, get them clothes that look presentable, because we're in a society that what we perceive you as to be is how we perceive you. So we have to look at that. We have to work with homeowners, low-income housing, and all those to get people housing, and we have to look at our health region to get people the emotional help they need to overcome this life situation that puts them where they are. So we have to open up our doors and have everyone sit at our table and work together to overcome those situations. Yes, we do. There's a study that said that 69% of our grade 10 students have binge drink before. I think in grade 10, 69% of our students have binge drink. On a national average, it's just over 49%. So we're about 20% above the national average in binge drinking. We spend on average per person $1,240 compared to Moose Jar, which is about $800 on alcohol. 37% of all of our major crimes are alcohol related, and between May of 2009 and May of 2011, $2.5 million is directly linked to the incarceration dealing with alcohol. So we do have addiction problems, we do have situations, and we have to work towards creating an environment which is alcohol-free, support the AA group, support the individuals that are dealing with these problems and using alcohol and drugs as a way of self-medicating and help. So it's again, multiple facets of a situation where you have to work together with many groups and many organizations such as MAD to overcome the situation. The number one most addictive drug in the world is alcohol. Like I said earlier, 37.5% of all major crimes are alcohol related. Marijuana itself is like way down the list, number 8 or 9 on that situation. Dealing with marijuana and legalizing it in the long term is quite good for our community, because it takes the money out of the drug dealers' hands and putting it into the government's hands to use for schools, roads, infrastructure, and many more situations. There's states in the United States that have already legalized it and taken advantage of those tax breaks. Well, we've got to work with Husky Oil and ensure that all the oil is cleaned up from our riverbanks. Like I said earlier, there was a similar event happened in the States, and it took 6 years and well over $1 billion to fit clean. But we also have to support the surrounding communities, as James Smith, that struggled with these. So we have to get on the same page and put the pressure on together with Husky and work with Husky to deal with the situation. In Saskatchewan, we have 2,000 pipelines going in our communities, and we have 38 of them crossing major water sections. So we have to look at the longevity and plan for these situations. They have checks and balances in place where there's valves that should turn off, and so that if the situation happens, it's minimized. But if the one valve is not shut off, how do they spill 250,000 square liters of crude oil into our water system? We have to ensure that the Husky Oil is following regulations and working together to help keep our community safe.